Morning everyone, welcome back. You joined me on the stern this morning. Actually, time to do a little bit DIY. This is something that's been kind of on hold over the winter because of the weather. And as you're probably aware, I've been dying to paint the boat. But the temperatures just haven't been right and the conditions, you know. So it's been a bit of a struggle over the winter time just to keep the rust back. Basically, the boat is primed when you get it. The thing is, most basic primers, if you like, they do become porous after a while. Your 2-pack primers, they tend not to. They're better. You can just leave it as that. But this is just a standard primer ready for you to paint. And I haven't, so the rust has started to come through in some places. So I've been using this stuff, Fertan. There's a few different makes out there. I think it's Aqua Steel. A lot of people use that. This is great. It smells of Lee and Perrins. It actually looks like Lee and Perrins, and it smells like Lee and Perrins. It probably just is Lee and Perrins, but it's £25 a bottle. But it goes a long way. I've just been applying it with a little bit of a little brush and a big brush, just to get, and obviously using a jug so I can pour back in the bottle what I don't use. And basically to apply it, I haven't got any footage of me applying it, but just use a wire brush to take the surface rust off and then apply this stuff. You leave it overnight, the rusty areas go black, and then the next day or the day after you wipe off the excess. So you can see here, if I turn you around, this is somewhere where the flash rust, if you like, I believe it's called, started to come through. You can see I've scraped it back and applied the Fertan, and that bit's gone black. So basically all I need to do now is just lightly sand it if need be, and I can paint it. It actually, what it does is it neutralizes the rust and makes it a paintable surface. So really good stuff, really good idea. So I've been doing that all over the boat. I mean, over the winter, you know, dry days, getting on the roof, doing little spots. So, and yesterday, since the temperatures have started to go up, I've decided to do the gas lockers. Yeah. These gas lockers, when you think about it, they get a lot of abuse on your boat. You know, you're putting these really big gas cylinders in there, which, you know, 13 kilos, you chip the paint. People tend to put their the lump hammers in and some of the mooring equipment, which is, I can see why people do it, it's easy, but it's not a good idea, because if they're not lockable, you're basically giving thieves a hammer and a chisel to break in your boat, aren't you? So I don't think it's a great idea. I won't be doing that. But yeah, they get a lot of abuse. And they've actually been known, because some gas lockers can be so deep that they can go below the waterline, and some have rusted through so bad that they've actually been known to sink a boat. You know, they tend to be out of sight, out of mind. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on these once a year. So I've started off by treating the rust. What I'll do is I'll turn the camera around just so I can show you what I've been doing, okay, rather than just me babbling on at this camera all the time. There we go. So you can see I've treated the rust here. When you look inside, all I've done again is a wire brush all the way around the edges, up the sides here, yeah, little spots here, and you can see I've put this Fertan on. This is the brown stuff. Where it goes black, that was where the little bits of rust were coming through. So you can see it was really quite pitted at the bottom, but I've noticed this has been, you know, it's had a little bit water in pretty much all throughout the winter. So I'm going to address that when I refit the gas bottles. I'm going to put them on some wooden plinths so the gas bottle sits up so the water can drain. You can see there, you've got a little drainage hole. That's just a bit of pipe to drain the water, obviously, clues in the name. And that goes through to the outside of the boat and drains out. And you can see I've managed to get the Fertan all the way through that as well, because of course that pipe can rust. So what I'm going to be doing now is cleaning this all off. So I've got a bucket of warm soapy water, or just warm water, sorry, and I've got to wipe this excess off, and you can see when I rub it, it starts to come off, yeah? Even smells like the imperance. So I'm going to wipe all that off, let it dry for an hour or so, and then we're going to get some paint on it. So I'll go through that once we get there. While this is drying as well though, I've been treating the engine bay as well. I'll come back to that in a second, okay? So again, I'm just using, got my protective gloves on, because it's a chemical at the end of the day. Just warm water, plain water. So this is the stuff here, and as you can see, wipes off really quite easily. So the only bit that remains, as you can see, the little black dots, are the bit where it's been treating the rust. The rest just wipes off, and it's not difficult. It wipes off really quite easily. There we go. So that, once it's dry, I'm pretty much ready to paint that. I can sand it if I want, but it's a bit rough anyway, so I'm not going to bother with that. I'll get on with the rest, get some footage, and I'll come back in a minute. Hello again. Something I forgot to mention actually, just to read what it says. Converts rust to an inert, I can't even say it, an inert stable surface that can be painted with any paint or coating. And the reason I picked this one, I'm not too sure about the aqua steel. It might be the same, but this is environmentally friendly as well, which is, it's always a concern when you buy the rivers and stuff. If anything drops in, you know, you don't want to harm the wildlife, do you? So anyway, it says at the bottom here, painting should be carried out within the next 3 months. So it'll actually look after the paint work, the steel, and not let the rust come back through for 3 months, which is great. So it gives you plenty of time to get the painting done, especially if you're doing a large area like this. So, here we are in the engine bay. We have a new resident. Obviously, I painted the engine bay before the engine was fitted, but of course, since the engine's been fitted, they have welded in a post here for the exhaust where the engine's been fitted. Obviously, you know, just working in the area with heavy objects, they've obviously chipped a little bit of the paint work. So you can see already, I mean here, that spray off the weld, really, what I've done is I've already Fertanned that. That's why it looks a lot worse than it is. Loads of little black dots. That rust's now been neutralised, so it's a matter of repainting this now, and really just the flat surfaces. Really, the sides are okay. I'm going to try and get in with a roller underneath the engine bay here, underneath the engine. It sees a few bits here as well. Just give it a paint, and under the engine I've swept it as best I can. I should be able to get the roller under there. And again, it's just trying to keep it clean and tidy, get longevity out of it. So I'll get the paint, get in the roller tray. It's not often I'm allowed to paint. We'll see how it goes. Hardest thing about painting in this area is obviously working around the engine. Let's get it done though, we'll do the best job we can. Any protection's obviously going to be good. As I found with this, as my wife quite often tells me, not one thick coat, I'm a bit ham-fisted. Nice one thin coat, that's best, it dries better, it cures better. So let's get it done. This is not easy. It'd be handy if you could just take the engine out. But you can't. Right. And I've vacuumed this area out the best I can, but There's still little bits of grit in here, but there's not much I can do about it. Just move them around if they get set into the paint. There's not much I can do about it, to be honest. So the one thing, mind you, this bilge paint, as you saw from the can, we're just using International Bilge paint. Price was about right, and International is quite well known. It seems really good. It goes on really easily. You can see the difference straight away, mind you, painting it. It's one thing I really want to try and do as a boater is keep on top of the engine bay. And we were looking at some boats, you know, when we're thinking about getting a second-hand boat. Some of the engine bays were horrendous. I mean, seriously rusty, you know. Some of them were like, you know, a foot deep in water. And you think you're trying to sell the boat and you're showing someone a foot deep of water in your engine bay. Wouldn't you check that before you try to sell it? And this was at proper marinas, brokerages as well. So it wasn't just, you know, Joe Public selling the boat by themselves. So not good at all. Not good at all. You know, and it could be innocent, it could be heavy rain, the water could be coming in, they might just not have been at the boat. But, you know, that should be checked before you sell it, before you try and show someone the boat. You know, it's like washing your car before you try and sell it, isn't it? And what I think I'll try and do is the opposite side. So that's looking so much cleaner. Really is. Happy with that. So what I'm going to try and do now while I'm here is this side. I think it's probably going to be best. I'll try and get the camera in so you can see it. And it's like any painting, apparently. Not that I'm an expert, but it's the preparation's the big thing. And it was really quite disheartening because obviously, as I say, I painted this before the fit of the engine. So to see it with little rust spots on straight away was disheartening. But it's the nature of the beast. It's a boat, it's in water. Something we're going to have to keep on top of. I think once a year, if I've got to get in and give it a lick of this paint, well, that's not difficult. There we go. So that's that side done, and that's, I think you'll agree, that's looking a lot nicer, not nice and bright. And I've gone for the light grey. Most people do. It just makes it a bit easier. You can see things if you drop them. You know, the light reflects more. It's easier to work on the engine. I've done these little plinths here as well in the sides as well. So looking pretty good. Happy with that. So I shall continue. This here, by the way, this here is the overflow for the calorifier. So if the pressure gets too much, it comes out with this pipe. And it just goes in here. It's kind of handy because it means when you open the engine bay, you can see if there's anything in it, and there's not, which is good. Let's start this. I'm enjoying this now. When you can see the change, that's when it's that's when you enjoy it, I think. Let's have a... Oh, don't go in there, spider. Yeah, come on, up here. No. Why does the spider run across the paint? Get a stick for him. Is he out? Come on, little Spiggy. Come on. Oh, come on. No, 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 no. Ow! Oh, just banged my elbow. That's the thing with an engine bay. Pretty much everything's metal. So if you hit it, it's gonna hurt. Oh yeah, son of a motherless goat. Oh, oh, not made for this. There you go. Looks better straight away, mind you, doesn't it? Really brightens the area up. It's all protection. And I haven't been able to do this because obviously in the winter it quite often you'll find this area is damp. I guess it's just the fact that obviously the water's under here, isn't it? And this gets warmish when we've got the central heating on with the Webasto. You know, heats the area up a little bit, so I guess that's why you get the condensation. Dear me. Excuse all the noises. I think after doing something like this, the thing you want is a nice hot bath. And what's the one thing you tend not to have on a narrowboat? Yep. There she is. I think you'll agree. She's looking a lot better than she did. Really is. So that should make it a lot easier. Well, protect the steelwork for a start. I want this to be our home for as long as possible. But also, it just makes it easier to wipe any spills up. Any oil or fuel is just going to be kept away from the steel. So, there we are. I'm not meant to get in them angles. My neck's killing us. Jeez. So that's done. I can put the boards back down, give that a chance to dry, and then we'll start the gas lockers. Starting to look good. I think it's going to need a second coat, as you'd imagine. I mean, the can actually says 2 to 3 thin coats, so that's what I shall do. Well, it's a few days later. The paint's had time to dry now, because with it being below the waterline, it take a bit longer, especially with it being a bit colder. I'll show you what I've done. The paint's dried really good, looks so much smarter than it did. I've also got some grip tape to put down as well, just to make it a bit easier to get in and out the engine. I've gone for this Gorilla, you know, that brand, Gorilla Glue and that kind of thing. It seems really good. It's not cheap, like, it was about £16 for 10 foot, but it is the coarsest, like, it's like sandpaper, sticky sandpaper, and it's seriously grippy, so hopefully it'll be worth it, hopefully it'll last. I'll just turn the camera around and show you what I've done. There we go. So, you can see it looks so much smarter inside. It's really nicely tidied up. This will make it a lot easier if I keep it on top of it as well, because if anything starts to come through or there's any damage, I'll be able to see it easier. So I really want to try and keep on top of the engine bay. Good housekeeping. Start as you need to go on kind of thing. You can see I put the grip tape down on the edges, because I found now getting in and out the engine, I found where I tend to put my feet. I put it on the edge there, you see it there, down below, and obviously here as well my feet tend to go, and it's gone either side of the engine as well. Again, just to give you plenty of places to put your feet, especially when you're servicing it. With this engine, I'm not sure if a lot of engines are like this now, but I like this feature anyway. All the service items are on this side, so this is why I didn't want the clarifier put there. I can sit there, hopefully, crouched over, got access to my air filter, my oil filter's just down here, etc. So that should make my life a lot easier. And the gas lockers, I'll just show you inside. There we are, and again, looking a lot tidier. I've put some wood at the bottom, some treated wood battens, just to keep the gas bottles off the bottom to reduce any damage. This is, again, still the first coat, so these are going to have another coat, maybe 3. We'll see how we go. You can see just up there, it does need another coat. You can still see the black of the Fertan coming through, so it's going to get that extra coat, and that should finish it off nicely. So let's turn us around. There we are. So I hope you found it interesting. Any questions, feel free, by all means. This is the way I've done it. Again, it's in no way a how-to guide, but this is how I've done it from my research, and I'm certainly happy with the progress. The International Bilge paint seems really quite good, you know. But again, any questions, feel free. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Okay, take it easy now. Bye-bye.